Okay, Erev Tov, good evening, everyone. We're continuing Gemara Berachot. We're on Daf Yud Amud Bet. Tonight we have a selection, a sampler of one-line halachot. The next couple lines we're going to do a sampler of halachot, and then we go back to our mishnah that talks about Shema in the morning, and then we're going to move on to the next mishnah tonight. Okay, so very important things. Why are we going to do a sampler of unrelated halachot? Simply because of the Amora who made the statement. The last Gemara that we ended off was talking about the story of the Isha Shunamit. Remember the Shunammite woman, a fascinating story where you saw CPR going on. Here, let me do this. That. Okay, we saw the Isha Shunamit, and with the Isha Shunamit, the Shunammite woman, what we had there was at the very end, it says, Over Aleinu Tamid, he's passing by us always. And when it says that he's passing by us always, Tamid, the Gemara said, in the name of Amar R Yose, Rabbi Chanina, Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, that it's as though you're bringing a korban Tamid. So once you said that rabbi, quoting another rabbi, meaning when it's Rabbi Yose, Rabbi Chanina, quoting Rabbi Eliezer, we have a few more statements by him in terms of halachot. So we're going to have a few unrelated halachot that are very practical. All of them you're going to see are extremely practical. We're going to spend some time learning some unrelated halachot, but important for our days. And then we're going to continue with our mishnah. Okay, so let's pick up. We are on Yud Amud Bet, Masechet Berachot, Daf 10B. If you're looking at the article, it's 10B 5. It's on the left column, the last section, the last paragraph of the left column. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. And let's go. Amar Yose Rabbi Chanina. Sorry, I just want to do this for the people who are. There you go. Right there we go. Amar Rabbi Yose Rabbi Chanina Amar Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So this is the name of the rabbi, and we're going to have a few statements by him. The first statement is related to Isha Shunamit, and now we're going to continue. Al Ya'amod Adam b'makom gavoa ve'itpalel. A person should not stand in a high place and pray. When specifically, we're talking about the Amidah. When a person is saying the Amidah, a person should not stand in an elevated place. For example, on top of this table. Don't go on top of this table and pray Amidah. Rather, a person should go to a low place. If anything, if you had a part of this room that was lower than everyone else, that's the place where you should pray. Your Amidah. Shneimar, Mima'amakim Keraticha Adonai. Mima'amakim means from the depths. Keraticha Adonai. I have called out to you, God. So Mima'amakim here, it figuratively means from the depths of my heart, from the what's deep here. This is one of the Shir Ma'alot. But we're talking about what he's doing is he's taking this figurative speech and he's saying it as literal as well. Don't stand in high elevated places to pray, but go to low places to pray. Yes. Okay. Excellent question. This should bother everyone as soon as you're learning. Was this your question too, Ilan?
Yeah, I mentioned that I've seen schools that actually do not indented.
Okay, very good. So there's a few things here. Number one, Jaden's question, very simple, is in Arbatei Knesiot. For example, you can think about upstairs in this building, you can think about Or Esther, think about Sha'ar Shalom. All of the main room, I guess not in this room or in the social hall, or even, I don't know about the social hall, but in my minyan downstairs in 130, we also have a platform. All of these minyanim, we have a platform where the Chazan stands on it at an elevated height and prays from there. That's in direct contradiction or direct violation of this teaching, right? So that's a problem. Now we have to explain. We have to understand what that is. Number two, Ilan said something very interesting. How he said he's seen some Batei Knesiot where actually the place where the Chazan is praying actually goes down. It's almost like a ditch in the ground. That's the way the Bet Knesset is set up. That it goes lower down. Has anyone seen that? I don't know. Okay, in Tiberia? Okay, very good. So you've seen it in Sfat, you've seen it in Poland, you've seen it in Israel, but okay, so very good. So I think we're building a new building. Maybe they could 695 Middle Neck Road do this. this time, right? They could probably just like hammer out a piece. Okay, so we have to understand how we do it with the chazan, how that works with it being in violation of this statement. Before we do that, this statement is all an Amora. Amar Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Chanina, Mishum Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is an Amora, right? What the Gemara then takes further, which is important, we'll see this and then we'll analyze. Chanina, we learned this in a Baraita also. So it's not just a statement of the Amora, but it's also in a Baraita. Quick reminder, what is the time period of the Baraitot? In the years 0 to 200 of the Common Era. What is the time period of the Amoraim of the Gemara?
100 to 500.
From around 200 to 500. That's right. So you have a rabbi from the later period saying something, and the Gemara says, oh, okay, we also have a Baraita that says this from earlier, more authentic source. Lo ya'amot, not authentic, more authoritative is the word I was looking for. They're both authentic statements, but this one is of higher authority. Lo ya'amod adam al gabe kisa. A person should not stand on top of a kiseh, a chair. V'lo al gabe shrafraf, not on top of a bench. V'lo b'makom gavoa, and not in a high elevated place. V'yitpalel and pray. Ela b'makom namuch v'yitpalel, but rather he should stand in a low place. Lefi she'en gavhut lefnei hamakom, because there's no haughtiness in front of Hashem. When a person stands up, it's almost as though the person is important and relevant. And no, in front of Hashem, your posture should actually go downwards. That's what your posture should be. It shouldn't go upwards. You shouldn't try to go on a higher level. You should try to go to a lower level, because that's the state of humility that you should be in front of Hashem. The lower you go, the more humble you are, the better, the more appropriate that state is when you're praying in front of Hashem. Shema, as the pasuk says, right? From the depths I've called out to God. And there's another pasuk in Tehillim that says, tefila le'ani chiyatov. As I pray to Hashem, I'm praying as a ani, as a impoverished, poor person, a person that has nothing. A person, when they pray, they should have humility. That's the end of his statements. So we have one Amora and we have one Baraita. So what do we learn from here? You have to pray at a lower level. Why? What does the Gemara tell us? Reason?
Lower yourself.
Okay. Very good. So one is it's quoting a pasuk from Tehillim. I call out from the depths. So even though that's a figure of speech, we take it literal and pray from the depths. And number two is it encourages not haughtiness, humility. And going on a high level encourages haughtiness, or it's like a showing some haughtiness. Okay, so now the question is, what do we do with our batek and esiyot? So we're going to look at Shulchan Aruch. Tonight, you could see my tabs. I have 4 Shulchan Aruch set up because we're going to go through a sample of these halachot. Shulchan Aruch. Siman Tzadi. 90. By the way, just because I said that, I just want to clarify. The letter that I just quoted is what? Tzadi. There's no kuf at the end of the tzadi as a tzadik. I know some tzaddiks. I know a lot of them. All of you are tzaddikim. But you're not the letter. You're not that letter. Tzadik is one thing. Tzadi is another thing. Why do they call it tzadik? Yeah, because because when you sing the song, it's tzadik kufresh, and you say tzadik kuf, and then you don't realize it's a tzadi kuf, or because it sounds like tzaddik, and you think the word is tzaddik, but it's not. Okay, so the word is tzadi. Okay, so this word tzadi, this is siman hasadi seif aleph hamitpalel. One prays. Lo ya'amod, lo al gabe mita. A person should not pray on top of a bed. V'lo al gabe kiseh, not on a chair. V'lo al gabe safsal, not on a bench. V'lo al gabe gavo, and the Rama says, v'afilu inan b'givohin gimel tfachim. Even if it's not that high, just the very fact that it's above everything else, don't go up there. V'lo al gabe makom gavoa, not on any elevated place. Ela in ken haya zaken o chole, unless he's old or he's sick or. Ready? Here's the kicker. Shahaya kavanato. His intention is lahashmiya letzibur, for people to hear him. There are some exceptions to this rule. The exceptions are if someone is elderly or sick. So, for example, let's say you're all on this level, you're already here, and there's a lower level, and you're going to tell this guy to go, and for this guy to go, it's difficult for him. He's going to get up, he has to roll over, then he has to go down the stairs. It's going to be difficult. It's just pray where you are. You're clearly not doing this because of haughtiness. You're doing this because it's difficult for you to move. And the second exclusion that he gives is if your intention is for people to hear you. For acoustic purposes, you're allowed to be at a high level. And that right there is the reason why our Baraita Knesiot, we pray on platforms, because you're not doing it because you're doing it out of haughtiness, trying to say, I'm higher above everyone else. You're doing it so you're elevated so people could hear you. And so since that's the case, then it's allowed. This is the Siman Shulchan Aruch. Yes, Mr. Eladi.
Level is two paths. So like upstairs on Friday nights, one of the women's section.
In the higher level. Yeah. Okay, that's actually an excellent question. So now I think one of my classes I mentioned I like ripped on the people who prayed in the ladies section. I felt bad. Because I know some of you people do. Do you remember what the context was last time when I said don't pray in the Mechitza section?
In general?
No, specific to our Gemara. No, it wasn't because of Makom Kavua. What? Okay, very good. There's a Gemara we learned that a person should enter two doorways when they enter the Bet Knesset, and the Gemara says what actually two doorways? No, it says shiur shte petachim. The shiur of two doorways, and the way I expressed it is either there's one opinion that says that it's giving you a time, meaning don't just enter the Bet Knesset and start praying, but give it time as though you had to enter two doorways, which means wait a second before you pray. Or two is distance, proximity. Don't pray right by the door, because if you pray right by the door, it looks like you want to leave. And Rishonim say, but if that's your makom kavua, that's your set established place, it's okay, because when people see you there, they know that you're chilling, you're not going anywhere, because that's your set established place. But if you're coming somewhere and you're visiting, don't stand right by the door, because if you're standing right by the door, it looks like you want to leave. So I said the mechitza, but I also said back then the shiur is just a couple of tefachim. If you come in a couple steps into the mechitza, you're fine. So tongue in cheek, it's okay to pray in the mechitza section. For that reason. Now you're bringing up another thing. The mechitza here, the lady section is elevated. Okay, so is it allowed? I think maybe for this, if you want to fulfill this halacha, you really should come down. So here's the second strike. Second strike for the mechitza section. But no, I'm just kidding. I think again, the reason why it would be allowed is because you see the reason. The reason halacha is saying is lefish in gavut lamakom lefnei Hashem. There's no ga'ava in front of Hashem. It's not a ga'ava thing. That's how the section is. You want to space out. You have some more space, as you said. The rest of the room is crowded, so you want to get some more space, so you're taking advantage and using the space. It's not a problem. It's not a problem of ga'ava. No one actually does this. I don't know about people that come and says, I'm going to pray on top of this chair while the rest of you are down here because I'm better than you. I've never seen anyone do that. If someone does, that's the issue. The issue is like if you think that you have ga'ava, like you're better than anyone else. Like you deserve to be at a higher level and everyone else is to be lower level. That you shouldn't do. So I'll tell you, sometimes I think about this. Even this is okay. But during the high holidays, during the Chagim, sometimes I stand next to the Chazan. If I'm not the Chazan myself, I stand next to the Chazan. And then it's a higher level. And then I think, why am I on this higher level? It's not it's not because I want people to hear me. I'm not even praying to the main Chazan. So maybe I shouldn't be up there. But what's the answer there? You're there to support the Chazan, because throughout the thing you have to help the Chazan out with the tune and stuff. So again, it's okay to be up there. I'm just trying to explain different situations where you want to be sensitive to halacha, but all of them are allowed. Okay? There's another thing that the Mishnah Berachot, I believe I saw Mishnah Berachot says, is that there's another very practical reason. Look at the examples that they gave. Don't pray on top of a table, and on top of a chair, and on top of a bed. What's a very practical reason? Exactly. You're gonna fall. If these are very unstable things, that it's not comfortable to be up there. You're standing on top of a bench, So these are places where you don't feel comfortable. You won't be able to focus on your tefillah. So that's another practical reason that's brought up, which once again means that if you're in the higher level, the whole floor is at a higher level, you're not going to fall. Maybe that would mean don't pray on top of on a step. Let's say there's a step. Maybe you shouldn't pray on a step if it's uncomfortable and you might fall off and it's very tight. If you're praying in a level that because of that you're not stable and you might come to fall and you got to be careful about your balance, then that is something that is indeed an issue. That isn't an issue. Not because of what our halacha says that there's no haughtiness in front of God, but because of a practical reason that the Achronim bring. Okay? That's halacha 1 in the books. Let's keep moving. Halacha number 2 by the same rabbi. Amora R Yose Rabbi Chanina Mishum Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Second statement. Hamitbalel, when one is praying. Excuse me, when one prays, Sarich sheyechaven et raglav. He should align his feet. Imagine these are my 2 feet. Let me just stop sharing. My right foot, my left foot, put them together like this. The Halachot says you should have them together, and the main place being the heels. Sometimes you need a little bit of space. It's okay if the toes are not, but anyway, what it's telling us now is, his opinion is, put them together. Anyone ever do this during the Amidah? They put their feet together? Yeah. You do this. You know what the source of that statement is? Right here. You're learning it. Yeah? What you
saying? First of all, it says legs or it's feet?
Raglav, feet. The actual feet. Why? How do they translate it? Okay. Okay, but okay. I guess it's really one and the same. Here they have it when praying, one should align his feet. So let's see the reason. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, "Veraglehen regel yeshara." It's a verse in Yecheskel that is describing the angels, and as it describes the angels, it says their legs are a single straight foot. Their feet are I guess here it makes sense. It's a single leg, but it means that they have 1 foot. So since angels have 1 foot, we pray with 1 foot. Now my question is, well, the angels also have wings. So how come we don't do this when we're doing our tefila? Well, like this also to be like angels. What does one have to do with the other? The angel is like this, so I'm going to be like this. So of course there's going to be different interpretations. I think the art scroll has a footnote. Let's read it. Rashba, what's the footnote number? 58. Okay, footnote number 58. Rashba explains this rule, and a similar one. Fine. Successful prayer requires one to recognize that no one but God can provide him with his needs. As a symbol of this recognition, one puts his hands and feet together as if bound, to show that one is entirely helpless without the aid of the Almighty. So this reason, what it's giving here is actually, it's not really lining up with the idea of the angel. This answer here is saying that when your feet are together, it's like a korban. A korban, they tie the hands and legs together. So like you're in front of God, helpless, you're tied together. It's actually sort of diverting, or not. It's not using the answer of the angel to this explanation. So how could you understand this as an answer of an angel? Any ideas? Why do I have to put my feet together to be like an angel? Like what?
For me?
Okay, why is that important for me to do that though?
They can talk to God, so we should emulate that.
Okay, very good. I like your answer. I'm going to take your answer and just add a little bit to it. A person should appreciate how powerful it is to pray to Hashem. We've learned this earlier in our Gemara, that tefila is devarim she'omdim berumo shel olam. We have the opportunity to stand in front of the Ribono shel olam and to ask for whatever we want. You want to speak with the president, you want to speak with the king, you want to speak with the prime minister, it's almost impossible. How are you going to get in presence? How are you going to get him to come with you? We're talking about in 2 weeks, we have Achashverosh, wouldn't let anyone come see him. Even if the queen, Esther would go in to see him, there's a chance that she dies. It's a risk for her to go see her husband. If he's not calling me, I can't go see him. It's the same concept where for us to go in front of God shouldn't be easy, but it is. We almost have access to VIP access to Hashem of this elevated state as though we're angels. And we should appreciate that and we should internalize that. We should appreciate the fact that we could stand in front of Hashem and not use that time to do other things. A person doing his tefillah is thinking about something else. We for a second think, we're standing in front of Ribono shel olam. We have this opportunity to stand in front of him to pray for whatever we want. Focus on what we're doing. So part of it is to get us into the mindset. When we put our feet together, what we're doing is we're saying we're doing something very elevated right now. Angelic. We're standing in front of Ribono shel olam. Don't take this for granted. It's a physical step that reorients our mind to get us into the mind. Now that makes a lot of sense. Because the tefillah shouldn't be something you're doing as you're walking. It shouldn't be doing something as you're sitting. It should be something that you're focused together. And there's another concept of this. The other concept of it is, it's almost as though like the stance. If someone is in a stance of his legs are open, he's moving around, he could be doing other things. Feet together, you're not moving. You're stuck. You're showing that you're stationary. This is your station. This is where I am, and I'm praying to Hashem in this moment. Okay, a few more ideas on this, but yes. Very good, very good. So it's like almost like a military stance, and your full attention in front of Hashem. Very good. Okay. Correct. Correct. Angels don't have the same opportunity to go in front of tefillah in front of Hashem where we have. We're not angels. We're not robots. We change. Very good. Very good concept. I just want to say one thing. Yeah. This is specific to the tefillah of Amidah. Specific to the tefillah of Amidah, we put our feet together. We put our feet together. I'll also mention, sometimes, Baruch Hashem, some people are a little bit on the heavier side. Someone's on the heavier side, they sweat a lot, their legs rub together. It's difficult for them to stand with their feet together, okay? It's nothing to be ashamed of. So someone like that, I told you what Halachot says is, it's okay, as long as you get your heels together, at least you're together. And if that's too difficult, I think this is where you say, Rabule. You just pray to Hashem, you focus and orient your mind, and you bring them as close as you can. The reason I say this is because for some people I know it's difficult, and I've been to places where I've seen different Rabbanim who maybe are a little bit on the heavier side. I've seen that they have their legs open, and so I'm not talking about like this. I'm talking just a little bit open, giving some space. So again, you should plan to put it together because that's the halakha. Let's go ahead and see. Did I open the Shulchan Aruch for this? Yes.
I heard a halakha where you're allowed to move.
Different topic. Right now we're talking about the stance of the tefillah. Movement is another thing which will come up later in Gemara Berachot. No, you're not allowed to move. You're not allowed to move unless there's a risk or there's something like that. If it's in a place where you're not allowed to pray, but it's a different discussion. Here it's the stance of when you're stationary, your feet together. Look at Shulchan Aruch, Siman. Can someone say this number for me? What did you say? You said tzaddik? Okay, you said tzaddik. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was testing you. Tzaddik, hey, very good. What is this? Yechaven raglav zeh etzel zeh bekivun keilu enam ela echad lehidamot lamalachim. A person should align their feet together, aligned as though it's one foot, as though it's attached, like the angels. Dichtiv bahen, as it says by the angels, raglahem regel eshela, klomar raglahem nir'im kiregel echad. It's viewed as though it's one leg. So, yeah, that's that. So you see the Siman Shulchan Aruch. That's the second practical halakha we learned. Practical halakha number one we learned is how that you shouldn't pray elevated. You should pray at a lower level, and we explained why we have our bima on a stage, on a higher level, on a platform. Number two, your stance of your legs when you're praying. Number three, next halakha, extremely important. This halakha might upset some of you. So if it does, I'm sorry. I'm not the one saying it. It's R Yose, Chanina, Mishum, Eliezer, Ben Yaakov. My dichtiv. There's a pasuk that says Lo tochelu al hadam. It's a pasuk in Sefer. I believe it's Parashat Kedoshim. We're on 10B, B6. We just turned to 10B6 right now. What does it mean? Don't eat with the blood. So literally, this is talking about when a person has an animal and they do shechita and they're going to eat meat, they're going to eat beef, they should draw out the blood beforehand. Don't eat it with the blood. But this pasuk, it could have just said lo tochlu dam. It could have said don't eat the blood. It says lo tochlu al hadam. Don't eat on the blood. So since it's there's an extra word there, the Chachamim understand it to include other things also. It must mean it has a dual meaning. What is the other meaning? Don't eat on the blood. Lo tochelu kodem shetit palelu al dimchem. Don't eat before your blood, which means don't eat before you prayed for your life, for your blood, for your life source. Don't eat in the morning before you pray shacharit. This is the third halakha. You can see Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Yosef ben Chanina, the name of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. It's all about tefillah. This is the third halakha he's giving it to us about halakha. This halakha is you cannot eat in the morning before you pray shacharit. Okay, I really could give a full hour-long shiur on this topic because there's a lot of details to think through. Okay, but raise of hands. Who has a full breakfast before the tefillah? If you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to. Does anyone have a full breakfast before the tefillah? Okay, so there's no issues here. No.
Sometimes coffee.
Sometimes coffee. Okay.
Yeah, water.
Coffee, cookie, water. Oh, everything came out. All of a sudden, oh, no, it's coming out. Coffee, sandwich. Yeah. Steak, everything in the morning. Shakshuka, omelet, cheese, onion. Oh, pizza. Who said pizza? Wow. Okay. Very good. Sometimes they bring here pizza for breakfast from Pizza Professor, and then this building, the way it's set up is that you're always coming in after a minyan or before a minyan and during a minyan. Baruch Hashem. So sometimes the guy's walking in, he's going into that minyan, he just grabs himself a nice Pizza Professor on the way up. This is the halacha for him. So what's the halacha? The halacha is lo techulu al adam, don't eat on your blood. Okay? We're going to continue the Gemara and then I'll explain and elaborate the halacha. Okay? Mr. Hakimian asked a good question about coffee. Okay, and then even coffee, there's different ways to make coffee. You could have black coffee, you could have coffee with milk, you could have coffee with sugar, you could have, is that machine still there? Is that cappuccino machine? So you could have cappuccino, all of these things. It's important questions. So we're going to see it. But let's see, there's another version of the statement. Same rabbi, this is the version of the statement. Kol ha'ochel v'shoteh. Anyone who eats and drinks, eats or drinks, v'achakach mitpalel, and prays only afterwards. Alav ha'katuv omer, the pasuk says about him, ve'oti hishlachta acharei gavecha. You threw me, God says, behind your back. Saying, you threw me, Hashem is talking to us, saying, you threw me behind your back. Al tikrei gavecha ela ge'echa. This word gavecha, you can read it. It's not the proper way of reading it, but it's similar enough to don't read it as your back, but read it as your pride. Meaning, you put me behind yourself. You care about yourself more than you care about me. Amora Kadosh Baruch Hu, la'achar shenitga'a zeh. After this guy over here becomes arrogant and he eats and he takes care of his body, only then does he come and say, "Oh Hashem, I accept you as mine." Okay, harsh statement. Person eating before having breakfast before the tefila. Harsh. Okay, so we need to explain this, and we need to answer the questions of coffee, about breakfast, about a cookie. We also have to answer the question of, look, it's one thing if you come to 6:15 a.m. minyan or 7 a.m. minyan, it's one thing. Then on Shabbat you go to 9:30 minyan, and then these 9:30 minyan, mashallah, we have 16 shiras one week, and then all of a sudden, by the time you're going to be able to eat, it's going to be 6 p.m. Some people, you sit down to lunch at 2:30 p.m. Not to mention you had the lunch already in cancer. But beside that, it's different, right? If someone goes to an early minyan or 7 a.m. minyan or goes to a late minyan, do these things change? That's why I'm saying this could be a full hour-long shiur. Let's go ahead and see Shulchan Aruch to answer some of these questions. Any questions before we dive in? Yes? Oh. Okay. Very good. Gabriel's asking a very, very good question. Let's say I enter mincha in the time of mincha. There actually are halachot that you shouldn't sit down to have a meal when the time of mincha has arrived, but you haven't prayed mincha yet. So, okay, very good. I think for now, the way we're going to see Shulchan Aruch, we're talking about in the morning, but that there are halachot that indeed talk about mincha as well. There are halachot that have to do with, let's say, for example, arvit. Really, let's say you have to say kiddush. You first have to do tefila and kiddush first. So really, this does expand to other things, other contexts. But right now, we're going to focus with Shulchan Aruch. We're going to focus on shacharit. Excellent question. Okay, his question was, if it's mincha time and you already pray mincha, do you have the same concern? Okay, ready? I hope. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's get started. Okay, Shulchan Aruch number 3. Here we go. So this is Siman. Want to get our Simanim right? Pechet, 89. You can see all of these are together. It's Siman 89, Siman 90, and Siman 95. They're all very close together. Seif Gimel. It says, Asur lo leitasek b'tzrachav. A person should not busy himself with his matters, his business his business. Or lelech lederech, or to even go on a trip. A person shouldn't go on a journey. Ad sheitpalel tefilat yudchet. Until he prays his Amidah, meaning until he prays Shacharit. Yesh mekilin, in parentheses is going to be the Ramah. Yesh mekilin la'achar she'amru miksat Berachot, kodem she'amru Baruch Shamar. Some permit, if you already started saying Berachot HaShachar, you're familiar with Berachot HaShachar is, right? when we say Modeh Ani, Asher Yatsa, Hanaten HaSechli, V'yan Lavim, Ben Yamah, V'yan Pokeh Chivim, Matir Asurim, Zokef Kevivim, all the way through Berkat Torah, and then we say Berkat Kohanim. That's called Berkat HaShachar. You get familiar with what I'm talking about? Anyone not familiar with it? You know what I'm talking about? You don't know what I'm talking about? If not, it's okay. You know, okay. Okay, whoever doesn't know what I'm talking about, raise your hand. It's okay. Sure. In the morning, in the very beginning when we wake up, in the Sidur, there's what we call Berachot HaShachar, where you say Modeh Ani, there's Natilat Yadayim, then there's Asher Yatzar, which is the bracha that we say for coming out of the bathroom. Then you have a series of brachot, thanking God for our ability to see, our ability to stand, our ability to walk. All of these brachot are brachot that we say. And then that whole section ends off with saying a bracha on the Torah. And then we say Berkat Kohanim, Vaydaber Adonai Mishmor, Daber Adonai Kol Berachot Ben Yisham Adonai, Yivarach Adonai Mishmerecha, V'samu Shbiya Ben Yisrael V'ani Yivarachem. That's called Berachot HaShachar. Okay? So what the Ramah here says is that some will permit you to do these actions that we just said don't do, which is like taking care of your business and traveling. Some will permit you to do it if you at least said those Berachot HaShachar first. Okay? So what's not allowed is to do it first thing in the morning. But if you're doing Modeh Ani and some Brachot in the morning, then some would allow it. Okay, but that's not Shulchan Aruch. Continuing with Shulchan Aruch, V'lo le'echol, don't eat. V'lo lishtot, don't drink. Aval mayim mutar lishtot. Water you're allowed to drink. Kodem tefila, before you pray in the morning. Ben bachol, whether it's a weekday. Ben b'shabbat, whether it's Shabbat. Uven v'yom tov, it's a holiday, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. V'chen, also, ochlin umashkin, you're allowed to eat and drink. Ochlin umashkin lerufuah, eating and drinking for health purposes, mutar, is permitted. Okay, so let's build this up. Number one, Shulchan Aruch says you can't eat and drink before you pray. There's a lot of exceptions. But number one is water is allowed. Doesn't matter the day of the week; it's always allowed. Number two, if it's for a health purpose, it's allowed. Okay, now let's look at the next seif in halacha, which really saves everyone, because this to me is probably the most subjective halacha that I could think of. We're going to see what this halacha is. Okay, what's this subjective halacha? Seif Daled. Hatzameh, if someone is thirsty. V'hara'ev, if someone is hungry. Harahem bichlal acholim, they're considered sick. So when we said that you're allowed to eat if you're sick, if you're hungry or thirsty, you're considered sick. But there's a qualifier. Im yesh bo yecholet lechaven da'ato yitpalel. If you could focus on that hunger and you could pray, so you have to pray. Ve'im la, but if you're so hungry that you won't be able to concentrate, or if you're so thirsty that you won't be able to concentrate, im ratza, if you want, al yitpalel ad sheyochal ve'yishta, you're allowed to eat and drink beforehand. So what Shulchan Aruch just says now is that if you're not going to be able to focus on your tefillah because you're hungry or thirsty, then you're permitted to eat. Because what it's doing is it's enabling you to focus in your tefillah. Okay? So we have a lot to explain here. Yes, go ahead.
But then say that you should really only eat just enough that you focus, or can you really have a full breakfast and then pray?
Okay, excellent. Excellent explanation of this. So
then
when we
pray.
say eating for health, so what does it mean to eat for health? It means you need to take some medication and you need to take antibiotics. I'm giving you a very practical thing. You need to take antibiotics, and your doctor says when you take antibiotics, you have to have a yogurt with it as a prebiotic. Or you need to take some bread. You can't have it on an empty stomach. You need to have some juice or whatever it is. So then for health purposes, you need to do it. So then eat what you have. But now, does that mean you need to have a 6-course meal? No, of course not. You do what you need to do for the health purposes. Same thing about being thirsty or being hungry. So you eat and drink what you need to do in order to give you enough kavanah to pray. Okay? Now, the Mishnah Berachot, everyone know what the Mishnah Berachot is? Okay, Mishnah Berachot, I just want to explain because this is something that's a very famous concept here. The Mishnah Berachot, the Ashkenazi rabbi from Radin, he's a Chafetz Chaim. His name is Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan, and he on this halacha says, Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to have water. If you're thirsty, drink water. So he says, what about tea or coffee? He says, you know what? Tea or coffee is okay, but no sugar, no milk. It's got to be black, cannot be sweetened. And he goes to town, very long. I could show it to you guys. He says not to. Okay? But other commentators, other opinions, including Baruch Hashem, Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef says, look, the way people drink coffee, you add some sugar, you add some milk, it's fine. He says, don't overdo it. Don't go get your triple cream frap latte with a caramel sprinkle on top and inside, covered with peppermint sprinkles. Like, don't do that. Right now, the times for tefila, it shouldn't be this whole enjoyment thing. You want to have coffee so that you could focus. It's okay. If the way you drink it is with some milk and with sugar, it's okay. But you shouldn't go beyond that. And he says the qualifier of say Berachot HaShachar before. So, Mr. Akimian, you asked this question about the coffee. Here's what Rav Yosef says. All you gotta do is to say Berachot HaShachar is the best. To say Berachot HaShachar before, then you're showing what was the opinion that we read in the Gemara. What was his concern? If you're eating before you pray, what was his concern? You're turning your back on Hashem. You're going in and taking care of yourself before you pray to Hashem, right? But now if you say Berachot HaShachar first, and you're thanking Hashem for all of these things, you're saying the Shevach, you're saying Berachot Torah, you already start saying a few lines of Torah, so you're not turning your back to Hashem. You started off your day. Okay, you didn't do the tefila. That's the best ways to do the tefila also. You didn't do that. Okay, you didn't do that. But at least it's not saying, oh, I only think about Hashem after me. Okay? I want to just talk about question?
Yeah. On Yom Kippur, when we confess, one of the confessions is not to eat food before you pray in the morning.
Yeah.
So is that referring to before tefila, like the entire tefila, or before Baruch Hashem?
That's this halakha right here, what we're learning right now. So you're saying on Yom Kippur, one of the viduis that we say, it's this whole thing that we're talking about. So I'm giving you leniencies that Rav Yosef says that based on the Ramah, that if you say the Berachot HaShachar, then you could have a coffee with sugar. But he doesn't say to have a meal. The only time we say you could eat food, as Shulchan Aruch says, is if you're not going to have the kavanah to pray. So if you need the food or drink in order to pray, like if someone wakes up, they're starving. Baruch Hashem. Sometimes my 2-year-old Yosef wakes up and he's 4 a.m. and he just waddles over to our bed. And he says, eat something. or he starts saying kitchen, right? So like some people get the midnight munchies, they're like 4 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m. They want to eat something. It really is all that's on their mind. So this idea is, okay, if you really cannot concentrate on your tefillah, then you're allowed to eat something in order to help you to have kavanah. But again, the orientation is you're not eating to fill your belly, you're eating so that you can have kavanah, so that you can pray to Hashem. Okay? There's one more thing I want to address. Shabbat, you have minyan at, let's say, 9:30. Okay, so if that 9:30 minyan, you're only going to be able to eat something at 12 o'clock or 12:30. For many people, that's too much. It's too much, and a person for that, they can say, I'm not going to have kavanah when I'm praying. So there's two ways of doing this. One way of doing it is saying, I'm not going to go pray in that minyan. I'll go pray somewhere else so that I could get home earlier so I could eat. We in our minyan, we take a break at around 10:15. We start with shacharit. Then we take a break, and then we eat cholent with pastrami and spices that really should forget about eating in the morning. Should never be eaten. But we do it in 1:30 downstairs. Come, we have pastrami. I don't know if we have pastrami this week, but it's very unhealthy. So this is one way of doing it. We first pray the shacharit, and then we do it. That's one way of doing it. But the other way of doing it is understanding this halakha, that if on Shabbat, for whatever reason, you're needed, you're a gabbai in a minyan, it's important for you to be there. There's a minyan at 9:30 that you're going to. You're not going to be able to eat until 12 o'clock. And you're saying, I won't be able to do it. Zaf mikona. So what can you do? You could eat something small enough to give you your kavanah. So you want to have a cookie. You mentioned a cookie. Okay, so you have a cookie. What about kiddush? Because there's another halakha. This is why I'm saying this is a lot of halachot here. What about kiddush? Should you say kiddush on Shabbat morning if you're having breakfast before tefillah? What do you think?
No,
Why no?
it's not really a meal you're eating. You're just having something to kind of give you a spike of sugar.
Okay, so it's not you're getting there. It's not exactly correct, because after your tefillah you can't eat anything, even if it's not a meal, until you say kiddush. So after shacharit, when you want to eat, or after musaf, when you want to eat, you have to say kiddush first, even if you're just gonna have a bite. So it's not exactly that, but you're getting there.
You didn't pray yet?
You didn't pray yet. So what? Your obligation of Kiddush hasn't begun yet. So there's a sequence. The obligation to say Kiddush before you eat only kicks in after you pray. So you see how it's a circle here, right? Since I didn't pray yet, I don't have to say Kiddush. But I'm also not allowed to eat because I didn't pray yet. But if I'm very hungry and I can't have kavanah, you can eat something without saying Kiddush. You shouldn't say Kiddush because you didn't pray yet, so you're not obligated to say Kiddush. Then when you pray, then after that, you have to say Kiddush before you eat. Okay? So this is all a lot of details, important things to keep in mind. At the end of this, there are many rabbis that say not to have milk and sugar. There are many that say because of the Mishnah Berachot, but R Yose and many, and I believe I saw the Kaf Chaim, I saw many Sfari Rabbanim, also many Ashkenazi Rabbanim, they all do it. Everyone does it. It's just a sensitivity to have that when you're going to have your coffee, when you're going to drink your coffee, this is the kavanah you should have. You should have in mind, I'm doing this to help me focus on my tefila. I'm doing this to help me not feel my stomach churning around so that I could focus on the tefila, so that I could have ease of mind. When you have that, then you're doing it for the intention of Hashem. And the other detail we said is, you should say Berachot Shachar beforehand, you do Netilat Yadayim, say the Brachot, and then you can have these light things to help you with your tefillah. Yes?
At what point does this kick in? Meaning, like, let's say, Nets is at 7:10. Someone wakes up at 6 o'clock, can't pray on the diet. So
Okay.
when does it still matter? Does it still matter?
Excellent question. Josh is asking excellent question of, so when let's say I get up at 3 a.m. Yeah, I can't even pray yet. Yeah, it's too early, but am I allowed to eat? So naturally, that's the next seif in Shulchan Aruch. So Shulchan Aruch in the next siman will continue to speak about it. I'm not sure if I want to go into there, but let's see. Daniel Koren, is coffee considered a health purpose? I think we covered coffee. If one eats before morning prayer, you may seem as a glutton, eating before thanking Hashem. Exactly. These are the concerns. Let's just, because Josh, in honor of Josh uploads. Yeah. Fast days, exactly. We have one coming up next week. Josh uploads every shiur afterwards. He takes it, he downloads it, he uploads it, he puts in the effort, he then puts in the descriptions, puts in the tags, all of the stuff. So in his zechut, I'm just going to look at one more seif in halacha. If it's before dawn and you're already eating, sarich le'afsik, you have to stop. V'yesh omrim in sarich le'afsik. Some say you don't need to stop. General rule is when Shulchan Aruch gives us two rules, two opinions. And the first one, he just states it as is. The second opinion, he quotes it as V'yesh omrim, some say, that's this Vav Yud Aleph, stands for, there are those that say, the general rule of Shulchan Aruch is when there's stam, V'yesh, which means the first one, he just says it without introducing it as some say. But then the second one is, and some say, halacha kistam. He holds like the first opinion. He says, this is the halacha, some say this. But which one does Shulchan Aruch hold? The one that he said. So what does he say? Once you approach dawn, you have to stop. Naturally, what works out is when we have a fast, the fast starts at alot. The fast starts at dawn. So that is exactly, works out perfectly. If you want to wake up before a fast day to eat, the timing that you would have to stop eating for your tefillah purposes also happens to be the time when the fast begins. So it's never an issue there. It's more of an issue on a weekday if you wake up very early, you wake up at 4 a.m. and you're getting your work done and you're again, with coffee we said it's fine even afterwards. But let's say a person wants to have a whole meal for whatever reason. These type of things come up. Let's say someone is traveling and they're going, oh yeah, remember he said you shouldn't be traveling at that time. So then you could enter this whole different world of halakha. What happens if I want to catch a flight at 7 a.m.? To catch a flight at 7 a.m., I need to wake up early and then I need to eat something because I won't be able to eat. Okay, look, there are times where things are allowed when you really don't have other options. When you don't have other options, it's allowed. But I think without hijacking the rest of the shiur, I think we covered this topic good enough. So for tomorrow morning, if you want to have something to eat or drink, no problem. You can. It's best to do Berachot HaShachar beforehand. Ideally, that's the best way, so that no matter what, you're showing Ribono Shel Olam, you come first. And then we spoke about the types of things that you could eat or drink. Okay, I want to move on from this topic. It's on this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just to elaborate, you're not allowed to eat, let's say, an apple or yogurt before Baruch Hashem.
correct, unless
Unless,
you can't focus,
yeah,
and that's going to help you with your focus of your kavanah, or unless the person is sick and they need this for their health, then these two things, then a person would be allowed to have these things. Okay, good. Good. No, there are times that where, for example, I'm very sick. I'm not feeling well. Like you have the flu, and I'm feeling very and like I'm sleeping in. And those types of mornings, the first thing I'm doing is I want to take my medicine, so I'll eat something. And usually, like let's say you have a stomach ache and you just have plain bread. You even do hamotzi, nevarech, because these are things that you're sick. Your situation of someone is sick, and it's going to help you to make sure to get you up, to get you going, to get you back to your normal state. These things are important when someone is sick, right? I want to make sure no one, suffers because of this. But this is just saying on a normal morning. And then, okay, last thing I have to say. There's a ton of research on this trend. It's called intermittent fasting. You heard about it? Let's just get some popular science into the mix. For example, there's this concept of intermittent fasting. How if you give yourself like let's call it an 8-hour window and eat your meals and your food during that 8-hour window, during that other 16-hour part of the day, your body is allowed to gives your body the ability to rest, to regenerate. It's very good for the body. Apparently, there's a lot of research out there. It works out very nicely with this idea. So if you're going to be eating only 8 hours a day, normally the window is, let's say you start at 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. or 12 to 8 or 10 to 6. These are the way people do it. It works out very well. The halachot, there's Gemarot that speak about the patterns of the way the Rabbanim would eat, and the Rabbanim would only eat at midday. They wouldn't have breakfast. Back then, the people, the Talmidei Chachamim, they would eat 2 meals. They would eat lunch and dinner. They wouldn't eat breakfast. They would go in the morning and they would pray and they would learn and they would do whatever they had to do. Then they take a break for lunch. So it's not anyone who's done intermittent fast. Anyone here do intermittent fasting?
my science teacher in high school.
Your science teacher in high school. Okay. Also the guy to your left does it. So you what time do you do it?
It's not like strict every day, but like I usually wait around until like 12:1.
Okay, so 12:1. Do you wake up like starving ever?
No.
How's it?
I don't drink coffee, so it gives me like energy.
So okay, now we're learning about coffee also. But putting that aside, it's a mindset thing. You can go until 12:1 without eating. Your body adapts it. You get used to it.
2 weeks.
I'm doing it now. At the beginning, it was very hard. Now I'm not even hungry until 12 o'clock. I don't even think about food. Your body gets used to it. So this whole idea of like you're gonna be starving, it's really not the end of the world. It actually might even be healthy for you. Besides for the fact that it shows your dedication to Hashem, it's also there's some health benefits here. If you don't believe me, just Google it and see if you want to try it. You had a question? No? Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Tonight I thought we were gonna do something. I don't know if we're even gonna get up to it, but let's see. Okay. Next halacha. Oh. Okay, our mishnah tells us, we're going back to our mishnah. Who can tell me? Me'ematai korin et Shema v'shacharit. Okay, so the first opinion is, what is the start time of Shema in the morning when you could recognize between white wool and blue wool? Amar Rabbi Eliezer. Ben techelet dekarti, between blue wool and green wool. Those are the first two opinions. Ad, what's the end time? So we have a machloket. What's the machloket? Two opinions of the end time of Shema in the morning. Number one, Hanetzach Hama is sunrise. And number two, Rabbi Yoshua Omer, Ad Shalosh Shaot. Sheken derech melachim la'amod b'shalosh shaot. Okay, I don't know if you guys did your homework of memorizing the mishnayot. This is they're ending off that part of Rabbi Yeshua. We had a machloket of the end time. One opinion said sunrise is the last time of Shema, which if that were the case, we'd be in huge trouble, which means you would have to say Shema before sunrise. Then you're going to wake up. Most people are sleeping in past sunrise. So that's the first opinion. Rabbi Yeshua says until the end of the 3rd hour. Let's go ahead and see our Gemara. Our Gemara is going to tell us what opinion we follow. Are you ready? Rabbi Yoshua Omer ad shalosh shaot. Rabbi Yoshua says until 3 hours. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel halacha keribi Yehoshua. The halacha is according to Rabbi Yoshua that the end time of Shema is the end of the 3rd hour. Baruch Hashem for Shmuel for holding like Rabbi Yoshua, because otherwise, I mean, many people will not be fulfilling the mitzvah of Shema, except for those who go to the next minyan, which Vatikin, right? So when you say the end of the 3rd hour, can anyone remind me, how do we calculate what is the end of the 3rd hour? Sunrise till sunset.
Divide that into 4.
Divide it into 4
sections.
Okay.
So let's say it's 14 hours.
Okay. You're getting too deep. No. It's fine. You divide it into 4 sections, and then what?
And then the end of that first quarter.
Very good. The end of the first quarter. Your
From
day.
sunset till the end of that first quarter.
Very good. So it's from sunrise. Very good. That's exactly correct. You got it. You go from sunrise to sunset, a quarter of the way through. Why? Because the day is 12 hours. 3 hours is a quarter of the way through. Very good. Except you said the opinion of the Vilna Gaon. There's another opinion, the opinion of the Magen Avraham. What does he say? He's also talking about seasonal hours, because you go from sunrise to sunset and you go. No. You're going back to that bit. No. Okay, very good. Jared, say it again. You go from dawn to dusk, to the stars coming out. You go from dawn to nightfall. So it's a similar concept, except instead of going, it's a much longer. Exactly. It's a much longer time period that you're dividing by, which means the opinion of Magen Avraham, your day starts earlier. Vilna Gaon, your day starts later. According to the Magen Avraham, your day starts at dawn. And you go from dawn to nightfall, divided by 12, 3 of those hours. But according to Vilna Gaon, you go from sunrise to sunset. And since your day is starting later, your 3 hours are starting later. So look at the screen for a second. I'm sharing my screen, right? If you want to see what is the latest Sof Zeman Kiryat Shema, the latest Shema, you could see there's latest Shema Magen Avraham, latest Shema, the Gra, and the Balatanya. According to him, it's 9:27. According to him, it's 10:07. What's the difference? The difference is he starts from from dawn, and he starts from sunrise. And because of that, you get to do these 2 different numbers. You should always, when you look at calendars, you're always going to have these 2 different opinions. The reason you have these 2 different opinions is they both agree it's until the end of the 3rd hour. That's what Rabbi Yoshua says, until the end of the 3rd hour. What they're disagreeing is when the day starts and how long that hour is. How long those 3 hours are. Okay? Yes, question?
We always hold like the Torah. There usually like, how does it work? Why
So-
do they give us stuff?
Okay, so why do we hold like the gra here? First of all, it's like everyone does it. It's just practically speaking, it's easier, right? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do the Magen Avraham. There are those that are strict, and they're saying, hey, when you're with your mitzvah of Shema Yisrael of Kabbalat Malchut Shemaim, you should be strict and do it earlier. But if you speak with Rabbi Berachot, for example, Rabbi Berachot very, very, very strongly holds like the gra, especially in these things. He holds like the gra was knew this to its depth, was an expert, and he did the calculation this way, and he follows him. So the reason why I hold like the gra is because Rabbi Chaim is posek like the gra. Rabbi Chaim for us says this is how we follow. But the truth of the matter is the whole world follows this way. I say that they follow both ways, but both times are printed. Usually both times are printed. So when you look at the calendar, you see they didn't just put 1, they put 2, because it's good to follow this earlier time. So for yourselves, when you're praying, and you want to say Shema Yisrael, it's better to do the earlier time. But if you have the later time, you have what to rely on. Okay? Because we just said the halacha is like Rabbi Yoshua, the end of the 3rd hour, and there's a machloket on when that 3rd hour, when the 3 hours the day starts. Okay. Last line of our mishnah, Jared. What does it say? Akoreh. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, very good. If let's say you passed the end of the 3rd hour and you didn't say Shema Yisrael, should you say Shema Yisrael? Our Mishnah says one who reads the Shema after that deadline of the third hour, you're not losing out. It's like you're studying Torah. Okay, you're still doing something. You're studying Torah. It's as if to say you should do it. Yeah. Sorry, say. We're not talking about Amidah. We're talking about Shema Yisrael. Okay, so you're asking a very good question. So for now, let's say it like this. The end of Shema time we're learning is the end of the third hour. The end of Shacharit we're going to learn later on is actually the end of the fourth hour. So the deadline of Shacharit, you have an extra hour to pray Shacharit. So let's say you're after the third hour. Before Shacharit time, you still have, let's say you're in the middle of that third hour, and you're reading it. Should you read the Shema or can you just skip it? You still have time to do Shacharit, but maybe you could just skip the Shema Yisrael. And is there value in me saying the Shema Yisrael? So the Mishnah tells us there's value in it. You're not losing out. You could still do it because you're studying Torah. Now let's get deeper into that, exactly what the Mishnah is teaching us, because there's something else it's teaching us. One who reads the Shema from that time and on, from the end of the third hour and on, lo yifsid, you're not losing. It's like you're reading from the Torah. Amar Rav Chasta, Amar Mar Ukva. Rav Chasta says, but there's a qualifier. Ubilvad shelo yomar yotzer or. The person cannot say the Brachot before Kiryat Shema. You know what I'm talking about? Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull up the Sidur. Where is it? Liturgy. Yedut HaMizrach. Shacharit. Let's go here. The Shema. So the Shema starts after Yishtabach. Here is Yishtabach. Yishtabach Shemacha. Barechu. Then we have Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. Yotzer Or Uberachot. This is called Berachot Kiryat Shema. This is a baracha before. This Berachot Kiryat Shema. Let me take off the English here for a second. This Yotzer Or Berachot. Titbarach. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. La'el Baruch Ni'emot Titenu Baruch Hashem Yotzer Hamarot. Ahavat Olam Aftanu. All of this is the Berachot of Kiryat Shema beforehand. Then you say the Shema Yisrael. And then you have the baracha of Geula afterwards, of Yatziv V'Nachon. And it ends up with Gal Yisrael. What Rav Chasta is now telling us is, if you're past the time of Shema after the third hour, don't read any of this. Say the Shema, go into the Amidah. You cannot say the Berachot Kiryat Shema after the time of Shema. Yeah, we don't hold this way. We don't hold this way. Let me go through it because we don't hold this way, and this is a dangerous place to stop. So let's keep going. Meitivei, I have a contradiction. Question: is Rav Chasta Amora or a Tana? Rav Chasta. He's an Amora. And so he's an Amora. And if you find something from a Baraita that goes against it, it's a big problem. Right? So Meitivei, we have a contradiction. We're raising an objection, and I think this is one of the words that we wrote. Meitivei is a contradiction on an Amora that you're bringing from a statement of a Tanaim. This Baraita says the one who reads the Shema after the end of the third hour, you don't lose out. You're like someone who's reading Torah. But you should make two brachot before and one bracha after. Baraita very clearly says that after that time you can go ahead and make the brachot. Tiyufta, derav chista, tiyufta. This is a complete and conclusive refutation of Rav Chasta's opinion. Rav Chasta comes and says, after the time of Shema, don't say the Brachot of Yotzer Or. Don't say V'ha Erenenu. Don't say Gal Yisrael. Just say the Shema Yisrael like you're studying Torah, but don't say the Brachot. Baraita says you should say the Brachot. The Gemara says, you're right, Rav Chasta has been refuted from this Baraita. Rav Chasta is wrong. That's the first version of this Gemara. So we thought that's the case because Rav Chasta said that. The Gemara responds, no, wrong. Rav Chasta is refuted. Another version of the Rav Chasta statements, we actually had things flipped. Ika de Armi, another version is, Amar Rav Chasta, Amar Marukva, Rav Chasta says, my lo yifsid. What does it mean when you do that? You don't lose anything. It says if you pass the time, you don't lose anything. What do you mean you don't lose anything? Shelo yifsid Brachot. You're not losing out on the Brachot. Even though you missed the deadline of the third hour, you're not losing out on saying the Brachot. Chanina, This is in line with the Baraita that says Hakoreh mikan ve'elach lo hifsid ki adam hakoreh b'Torah. After reading Shema, if someone's reading the Shema after the end of the third hour, you didn't lose out. You're like reading the Torah. You can say 2 brachot before, 1 bracha after. So we had 2 versions of how it goes. Our Baraita says you could say the brachot of Kriyat Shema. The first version says, Rav Chasta says you can't, and we reject him. The second version says, Rav Chasta says you should say the brachot, and the Baraita supports him. So what we've just learned is that you're allowed to say the brachot of Kriyat Shema even after the end of the third hour. Okay? I want to come back to this, but first let's do one more line. Amar Rabbi Mani. Rabbi Mani says, Rabbi Mani. His name is Mani. It's amazing. Amar Rabbi Mani. Rabbi Mani says, Gadol hakoreh Kriyat Shema ba'onata. One who reads Shema in the right time is greater than the mitzvah of reading Shema in the proper time is greater than yoter me'ha'osek b'Torah, greater than someone who's studying Torah. Which one is of higher importance? Saying Shema in the right time or studying Torah? So the answer is saying Shema in the right time. Why? Because it says, if you miss the time, don't worry. At least you're studying Torah. Which sounds like if you say it in the right time, it's better than just studying Torah. Right? Because it says, oh, you're saying the Shema Yisrael at the wrong time? Okay, you're studying Torah. The meaning to say that if you did it during the proper time, it's much better than studying Torah. That's exactly what we're saying. Midiktani, from the fact that it says, Hakoreh mikan ve'elach lo hifsid. If you're saying the Shema after the end of the deadline, you're not losing out. Kadam hakoreh b'Torah. You're someone who's studying Torah. Michlal de koreh ba'onata. From here you see that if you're reading the Shema in its proper time, adif. It's even better than studying the Torah. Okay? I want to read one footnote of the art scroll because it's a very, very big machloket here about until when you could say Berachot Kriyat Shema. Does it? You quote the Rambam, no? Where is it?
69.
69? Okay. Thank you, Andy. I'm going to go with 69. Here we
That's
go.
the one you're talking about.
That's-
Is there or?
71.
No, 71.
It's 71. Very good. Okay. So let's see. Footnote number 71. Extremely important. And I'm going to end off. We're going to sign off with something that Rabbi Ben Chaim has taught us in his Shiurim. Here we go. There is some question, however, regarding the latest time these blessings may be recited. Right? So what we just established is you're allowed to say Berachot Kriyat Shema even after the deadline. But is there a latest time that you could do this? What if it's in the afternoon, like what Elon was saying? Is there a time where you can't say it anymore? Okay. Some make recitation of these blessings contingent upon morning prayers, which may be recited until the end of the 4th hour, according to Rabbi Yehuda, and until noon, according to the Tanna Kama. So some say that the latest time that you're allowed to say the Barachot of Kriyat Shema aligns with your latest time of Shacharit Tefila, which, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is the end of the 4th hour, and according to Tanna Kama, is until midday. Thus, Rav Hai Gaon holds that the blessings are recited until the end of the 4th hour, while Rav Yitzchak permits their recitation until noon. Rambam, however, maintains that their blessings may be recited throughout the entire day. The Rambam says if someone didn't pray Shacharit, and he passed the 4th hour, he passed the 6th hour, he passed the 8th hour, he didn't pray Shacharit, and he didn't say Shema Yisrael, he could say Shema with the Brachot. That's what the Rambam says. What does Shulchan Aruch hold like? The earliest time. Shulchan Aruch says 4th hour. Actually, I'm going to show you the Shulchan Aruch. Here it is. Shulchan Aruch. This is Siman Nun Chet. Afal pi zmana, even though the time of Shema nimshach at sof hasha'ah hashlishit, even though the time of Shema goes until the end of the Gimel hour, im avra sha'ah Gimel, if the 3rd hour is passed, v'lo kera'an, you didn't say Shema yet, koreh ota b'birchotea, you're allowed to say with the Brachot, kol sha'ah revi'it, the entire 4th hour, shehu shelish hayom, which is a 3rd of the day. You're not getting the reward of reading the Shema in its proper time, but at least you're saying it. And if the 4th hour has passed, you didn't read the Shema. You could say the Shema, but no Brachot. So, if I ask you, Can you say the Shema Yisrael after the end of the third hour? The answer is yes, all day long. When can you say the Brachot up until? According to Shulchan Aruch, the fourth hour. According to the Rambam, all day long. According to Rav Hai Gaon, it's the fourth hour. According to Rav Yitzchak Gaon, it's the sixth hour, midday. So there's a lot of discussion about this. And Rav Ben Chaim has been posek in this specific case against Shulchan Aruch and told us up until the sixth hour. And he gives his whole explanation why. Because I actually saw, I think the Mishnah Berachot, no, Halachot Berachot asked this question. I saw the Halachot Berachot discusses this. Man, it's not just Rav Ben Chaim. He's not just making this up. There's many opinions that say this. Because the latest time that you're allowed to pray Shacharit is really until midday. You have until the fourth hour, ideally. But if you miss that, you go until midday. So if you're allowed to pray Shacharit until midday, why would you not be able to pray the Brachot of Kriyat Shema until midday? Or why would it stop at the fourth hour? What is it? Correct. No? Okay. So what I'm saying is that that's not accurate. You could pray Shacharit until the fourth hour, and if you miss it, you have until Chatzot to pray Shacharit. You're allowed to pray until Shema should be said before the third hour. Before midday. Shema you could say all day long. Brachot of Kriyat Shema. Yeah, what are you saying? Until Chatzot, until midday.
You have to say that until Chatzot, you have to say Shema before that, no?
Correct, but you're talking about like 3 minutes before. Yeah. Okay, correct. Granted, those few minutes. I'm talking about those 2 hours. Meaning between the hours of fourth hour of the day and the sixth hour of the day, according to Shulchan Aruch, when you say Shema Yisrael, you cannot say the Brachot, but according to many, you're allowed to, and that's how Rav Ben Chaim is posek. So if a person prays the Shacharit after the fourth hour, before midday, they could say the Shema Yisrael with the Brachot. And this is how my Rav is posek, and this is how, I usually don't let it get to there, but if it gets to there, I would say it.
What do we do sometimes in Shacharit? The minyan is later in the day. We say Shema earlier ourselves. We say it with the Brachot.
Okay, excellent question. During the winter months, and they change the clock, very often the end of the fourth hour is, let's say, at 9:56. What you should do is you should be done with Shacharit by that time. If not, you're missing the Zman or the Keilah, it's a problem. But you have what to rely on to go later. But according to Shulchan Aruch, you really should do the Brachot. If you want to say the Bracha, you should do it before that time. There's a lot here. You go to a good minyan. If you go to a good minyan, the rabbi is going to take care of this stuff for you. That's really, these are the things that are on top of my mind when we get to that stage.
Go to Nets, you won't have problems.
Yeah, go to Nets, you don't have any problem. You're actually, the Gemara says you won't have any problems. Yes, Mr. Cohen.
Basically, one of your obligations to say Shema twice a day. You miss that early cutoff time in the morning. You miss that one notch in the morning, but you can still say it later just as a way of reciting Torah and getting credit for that.
You got it exactly correct. You have a mitzvah from the Torah to say the Shema Yisrael once in the morning, once in the evening. Our whole Gemara up until now, the basis of the Mishnayot is when is the start time of the night prayer, what's the end time of the night Shema, and the end time of the night Shema. What is the start time of the day Shema? What is the end time of the day Shema? And that now we're dealing with, and what if you miss it? And the Gemara says, hope you missed it. You're not going to get reward for saying it in the right time. But you should still say it because it's still getting reward of studying Torah, and there's value in that itself. So don't say, I missed it, I'm not going to say it. If you missed it, you should still say it, but you're not fulfilling the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael in its proper time. Okay? Okay, yes, Mr. Lavian.
I think it's very good for people to make a habit that, especially on Shabbat, when most of our Baruch Shema starts at 9:30, and if by that time you already missed the time of Shema, say it earlier at home.
Absolutely.
Say it earlier at home, so at least you covered your obligation, and then.
Okay, very good. Mr. Lavian is cautioning something very important, which I should stress. That here we're talking about if you missed it, what you can and can't do. But don't let it get to that point. So look at the Maizmanim. Here, let's look at it together. This week, you're looking at this. This morning, the latest time of Shema, according to the Magen Avraham, is 9:27. The latest according to the Gra is 10:07. Shabbat, if you go to 9:30 minyan, you are for sure missing it according to the Magen Avraham. So if you're awake, all you need to do is say Shema Yisrael and you won't be missing it. No, without the Brachot. So, okay, what should you say? At the very least, you should say the first line of Shema Yisrael. The answer is there's 4 opinions. There's actually 4 opinions.
There's only 3
What?
sections.
I think I don't know if we discussed this, but we did discuss this. Oh, when we discussed Shema Yisrael al Amitah, very good. When we discussed Shema Yisrael al Amitah, we discussed this. What is the minimum amount to fulfill your mitzvah? There are 3 paragraphs of Shema, but there's 4 opinions, believe it or not. How is that possible? Because the first opinion says just that first line of Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, you fulfilled your obligation. The next opinion says no, Shema and Ve'ahavta. You have to say the whole first paragraph of Ve'ahavta. The next one says no, including Ve'hayayim Shamoa. And then the last one says including Vayomer. So what should you do? The answer is say all of it. That's ideally. So let's say you wake up the Shabbat, and exactly as Mr. Levian is saying, you should make a habit of this. It should be practice of yours. So now, Mr. Hakimian, Mr. Levian, we have our program for Shabbat morning. Here's our program. You wake up, you do Netilat Yadayim, say Berachot HaShachar, say Shema Yisrael, and then you have your coffee. And this way, you're able to do everything, and we fulfilled it according to R Yose with sugar and with sugar. Yes.
When time came to me as a Kabbalah, I said a few times, at 9:30 you start Baruch Shamar on Shabbat, and Shema is in 9:35. I want you to announce the whole minyan and tell all other Gabbaim, Mr. Josh, how are you? That no, announce very specifically, guys, say Shema now, all together in Kanistan, then we start Baruch Shamar.
Unbelievable.
It was very specific. Please say it every time. Remind everybody.
You're hearing it from the Gabbai Rashi.
Then you repeat it again.
Yes. Now you're going to do it again with the Brachot. This is to fulfill the mitzvah of Shema in its proper time. We're not going to mess up with the Brachot. What happens if you say the Brachot before? What are you going to lose out on? You're going to miss out on being Somech Geula Tefila. Because remember, we want to say Gal Yisrael and say Hashem Sefetai Tiftach. So if you're going to say the Shema with the Brachot, you're going to miss out on Gal Yisrael, unless you're going to say Shema with the Brachot and the Amidah, but then again you already prayed. So what are you doing? So then that's already praying. So what we do is you say the Shema Yisrael to fulfill that mitzvah, and then you say the Shema with the Brachot, with the Amidah at the right time, so you could be Somech Geula Tefillah, which is so important, which we spent so much time discussing. So that's why it's very good practice. And this, who asked about whether we hold like Magen Avraham or the Vilna Gaon? You should really try to do both. So this Shabbat, you're going to see the end time is 9:30. If you're going to 9:30 minyan, exactly as Mr. Akimian is saying. Yes, very good. So the Gavaim, before they start, they should be aware of this. Now, it happens to be this week, going by the the Gra, you have until 10:07, and 9:30 minyans will make that. So it's not as big of a deal. But still, you can make it according to Magen Avraham. So it's good practice, especially on Shabbat, but really all days of the week. If you pray at the 9 a.m. minyan, for example, whatever it is, it's good practice. In the mornings, you say Berachot HaShachar, say Shema Yisrael. Make it part of your practice. So this way, exactly as you said, it's a good habit to have. This way you always, I remember I was much younger, we changed the clocks. And I remember the number. I remember the end time of Shema, according to earlier opinion, was 8:26. I remember that number. And I remember I didn't put an alarm that Shabbat. I was young. I was in like high school. So I didn't put an alarm that Shabbat, and I was bugging out. Because I'm gonna miss it. I woke up like at 8:17. I'm like, run quickly, wash your hands, say the Brachot, say Shema Yisrael. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Yeah, but it's something important. Yeah, you should know what's the latest time of Shema. It should be something that we're familiar with. Okay, good. Okay, I wanted to start the next mishnah. We didn't. So next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll start the next mishnah, which we're moving on to the positioning that we have to be in when we say the Shema Yisrael. Standing, sitting, lying down. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll discuss that next time. Okay, have a great weekend.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good night.
Thank you.